a volunteer and a person in this community that really went out and tried to make sure that the youth of our community had constructive activities to be involved in. With that being said, I just want to let everybody know that starting in June, we're going to be starting up with youth football this year again in this town. And just want to keep pounding in everybody's head the fact that the Dolton Bears organization, for the better part of 15 years, have been a nationally ranked organization, which I think this community should be very proud of, meaning that you can't go to any state and find somebody that doesn't know about their organization, that doesn't have good things to say about this community. And with society being the way it is now, you always want somebody to say something good, but I'd just like for the board to know that we appreciate all you guys' support that you can continue to give us. We want to make sure that everybody's on board with things that we're doing, so we'll be reaching out to the board with our camps, we'll be reaching out to the community with our camps when our football season starts. But I'd just like to say that those that come out and be a part of what we're doing, we appreciate it. I have to say it because he always has something to say in favor of our program. He always takes the time to be there for me personally. And Trustee Stan Brown has been a godsend to our organization. I know sometimes people come in here and they probably roll their eyes up in their head when he starts talking about the Dolton Bears, but it's a good organization and we appreciate all the support. Now, one of the things that I want to make sure that I say, because I see people come in here and I know where they're from and things like that, but I think it's important that we, as community leaders, continue to do the right things in regard to all of our youth, because our organization, we embrace kids that may not live in Dolton. And they come to our organization, we're not going to tell them that they can't play. And I think with things that happen in society right now, where we have all these murders, all this killing, if we're going to be divisive as a community and say you don't live in our community, you can't play over here, or different things which we've run into those roadblocks with different entities in this community, we're teaching the kids to do the things that they're doing right now. So we're asking for all the support. We don't want to run into, I know what it costs to turn on lights. I know what it costs to use different facilities that we have to use. But at the same time, when you continue to put price tags on things, you're putting price tags on things that may not be able to participate in things of that nature. So when we go out there and see someone murdered, maimed, killed, whatever you might have it, we can't say too much about that. We cannot, because we're allowing that by the things that we do. So we're asking everybody to get on board with what we're doing. Make sure that if you had the opportunity, you support not only emotionally, but financially, because you can't put a price tag on what these kids are doing and being constructive. So I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that my cue? I had to leave? Yeah. I mean,
I had one comment.
And I'm sorry, I didn't recognize our village engineer.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to let everyone know, you brought up Cottage Grove. We got a grant to resurface Cottage Grove. It's a joint project between South Holland and the village of Dolton. Starting next month, they'll be resurfacing Cottage Grove from 159th to 147th Street. So that will start next week, okay?
And the signs
Well,
are,
next month.
The signs are already up.
The signs are already up, so just to let you know. So
Plus,
forget the potholes, you get a brand new road.
yeah. Plus, I had, was it yesterday, Matt? We had them do from the funeral home in South.
Yes, sir.
From the funeral home north.
Yep.
To, with all the potholes.
Friday.
So we filled over 300 potholes just in the last probably month and a half, weather permitting. Okay. The citizens rep. I just want to bring it to, I hope everybody had a happy Easter. Our quarter ended April, well, in April 30th. Summer employment. If anybody, now is the time to inquire on our youth summer employment program. Beverly Jordan has been taking names and getting contact information for the programs that come, as they come, I should say. We've been working with Pastor LaFleur from New Community church. He's been putting some of the youth out, and they have been cleaning up in the area. So if anyone has any information on you, if they want to get involved in our summer program, please contact my office to give you information. A couple of weeks ago, I was in Springfield, talking with legislators, our state reps, and our state senator, who has vowed to assist us in getting funding for two of the main things that I think is required. That's our infrastructure. We had probably over 40 water main breaks this year, and also roads that need to be repaired. We have some serious damaged roads that need to be repaired. I took a tour with our engineer. I took them on a tour, I should say, with our engineer Ron Smith, State Representative Will Davis, and State Senator Napoleon Harris, in regards to the resurfacing of that the west side of the village. It seems they've been neglected with police services and public works services. What were the streets? Mr. Smith, I think it was Clark. Road,
Clark, Edgebrook, Michigan, 147th Street,
Wabash, Dearborn.
Wabash, yes.
So, we're gonna use a lot of the grant money to kind of service that west side, that I think has been neglected for a long time. Okay. Last month, no, I should say this month is National Volunteer Week. We have a number of volunteers who work in the village. This year I also brought back the cookout Fridays. Every second Friday we'll have a cookout here for the employees. We provide them lunch. We also recognize our volunteers on that Friday in regards to their services that they provide for the village on a volunteer basis. We appreciated them. So we gave them a little gift, gave them a letter of recognition. Okay, that's about it. I'd like to get a motion to adjourn this regular board meeting and to go into the committee of the whole meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting.
Second.
Is it moved and seconded to adjourn? I'm sorry. You know, on this, for this regular board meeting, we did not have our trustees, pardon? Well, we had one from the police department. Yeah, okay. I want to say something in regards to the police department. Chief, I want you to just give a little bit of what's been going on, what the police are doing, what they have done. And I really appreciate the police department, what they've been doing here the last 3 weeks. As soon as it turned hot, we had several shootings here in the village. Police responded, they made apprehensions, and they're doing an excellent job. I asked the police to put on a second tactical unit, which they've done. They've seized cars, guns, and made some really critical arrests to try to help and assist with bringing our crime down. So you want to elaborate on it a little bit, not to lie to anybody, but just tell them what we're doing.
We've recovered about 4 or 5 guns in the last 4 weeks. We seized about 6, 7 cars. This weekend, you may have noticed, the weekend was especially quiet in Dolton. While Chicago had a number of murders, Chicago had a number of shootings. We had the Cook County's gang unit out here. We had 10 cars on the street here Saturday night. On top of 5 squads from our own unit. Also, my deputy chief and I rode on the street pretty much most of the night. Abe spent most of Saturday morning and evening up until about 3 a.m. Sunday here. I was here till about 5:15 Sunday morning. So we made sure Saturday night stayed quiet, that the bar stayed quiet. It's a pretty peaceful Saturday. When you look at the stats from some of the neighboring communities, I'm amazed that we had no one shot here. But we managed to get a lot of coverage out here this weekend to keep it quiet. And we intend to continue to do that throughout the summer to ensure that you have a quiet summer here in Dolton. Last summer, we ducked a lot of bullets, literally. We were very fortunate that a lot of the mess from our big neighbor to the north of us didn't spread up here. We've only had 1 murder in Dolton since I took office May 9th of last year. So far this year, we've had no homicides. I think we've had maybe possibly 3 to 4 people shot this year, none very seriously. So we've been very lucky in Dolton, but I think you make your own luck by planning, strategizing, removing certain elements off the street before they can gather and create major problems. We know we got some hot spots out here, and we're concentrating on them. The mayor has initiated a midnight tactical team for Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Right now, we don't have a lot of interest in signing up for it. A lot of these guys here in the Dolton PD work double shifts, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, so a lot of them are pretty beat up by the end of the week. But we do have some takers, and we're keeping a strong presence out there, and hopefully it's going to improve. We've already hired 2 of our 6 part-timers, and we still have 4 more positions to fill. So we got some interviews to do this week, and hopefully, I don't say by the end of April, but probably by middle of May, we should have the other 4 positions filled. We've shut down the clerk's office, as you all know, after 11 p.m. People will no longer come over to the clerk's office for services they've been used to getting. Also, all the money now, if you want to pay for tickets and all, you've got to come over here to the water department now to pay for citations, etc., towing fees, release fees, whatever. Just trying to consolidate some services and keep things as streamlined as possible.
Also asked the police chief to do a reorganization of the police department, which he initiated last week. And in that reorganization, we put more uniform officers on the street since the recent incident. So we're going to have additional manpower and coverage on the streets this year to respond to any type of activity that, criminal activity that may happen. Okay, was there a motion to adjourn this meeting? Roll call.
Motion by trustee Pearson, second by me. Thank you, trustee. Trustee Bendel?
Aye.
Trustee Pearson?
Aye.
Trustee Smith? Aye. Trustee Hunt?
Aye.
Trustee Brown?
Aye.
Trustee Henry? Aye.
Okay, six ayes to adjourn the meeting. Okay, we'd like to call the order, we're going to go right into the committee of the whole agenda. I'd like to call the order of the committee of the whole meeting for tonight, the 21st, 2014. I think we'll bypass the pledge of allegiance since we've done that. We'll bypass the prayer. Order of business, Mr. Irvin, first thing on the agenda. That's all right. We'll call the roll again.
Trustee Bendel?
Here.
Trustee Pearson?
Here.
Trustee Smith? Here. Trustee Hunt?
Present.
Trustee Brown?
Here.
Trustee Henry?
Okay, everyone's present for the committee of the whole. Mr. Irvin.
Just as a reminder, the items on the committee of the whole are strictly for discussion. There is nothing up for a vote of approval. If there is an item that needs to be moved forward, we would do that through a consensus, and then the next regular scheduled board meeting that anything would be voted on would be May 5th. First item on the agenda is a property located at 14700 South Harbor. My office was approached in the last 45 days by the property owner of 14700 South Harbor, asking if the village would consider adopting a resolution with the South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority so that he could donate his family-owned property, approximately 13 acres, for future development to the South Suburban Land Bank and Development Authority. It's my understanding the SSLBDA was before this board previously as a consideration to become a member of the board. This is not to become a member of the board. This is for the specific donation of 14700 South Harbor to the SSLBDA. We have both representatives as the property owners here and the representative from SSLBDA. Answering any questions or concerns, the synopsis is pretty complete. The negative impact to the village would be a loss of revenue in the amount of approximately $3,466, as is indicated on page 2 of the synopsis in the fiscal impact. Long term, if it did, and when it does, thinking possibly get developed, the loss could be recouped in a very significantly short period of time. It is staff's recommendation that this property be allowed to be donated by resolution to the SSLBDA. Does anyone have any questions of the petitioner or the organization?
My understanding, I was here when this property came up before. And one of the things is that we had said no, from my understanding. And it wasn't to be a member, it was to have the land donated to us. That's my understanding, I
I
was
would
here.
ask the petitioner to come forward, property owner, or actually both gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm
Step forward, why don't you step forward?
Step right over here.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for hearing us.
Why don't you,
I'm Russ Ryden with the South Suburban Land Bank. I'm the executive director. What, excuse me?
I didn't hear your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Russ Ryden from the South Suburban Land Bank. I'm the executive director.
okay, Mr. Ryan.
When we originally presented here, it was for membership. We had not been formally offered the property at that time, and we were asked to come out and give a presentation on membership to the board. I believe at the time you just deferred, you didn't make any vote on it. I don't know that for sure, but that was my recollection. It wasn't specific to this property, but I guess what we're asking, we're a public agency. The only way we can act on a property that is in a community that is not a member of ours is by a resolution of support of that community. So that's what we're asking for here, not membership or anything like that. We're just asking support of this transaction. But we did not ask specifically for that last time.
Okay, so it was somebody other than you last time.
I don't know. I came here, but I didn't ask specific, we talked about.
Isn't that
membership.
property run off of 46th Street,
Yes,
right along the railroad tracks?
correct.
And it runs into the back of the property on Sibley. There's a river between you and that
Yes.
property.
The river is between.
Yeah, between Sibley and that property.
You may be thinking, sometime back, I did not ask the land bank, I'm Rudy Mahalik, my family owns the property. We did not ask the land bank previously to come to Dolton for this request. We did approach the village about making a donation to the village of the property. And at that time, there was apparently a decision made that they were not interested, you were not interested in receiving the property. We went to the land bank folks because they are set up to do exactly this. They are set up to take vacant property and redevelop it and find buyers and ultimately put it back to use. So that may be what you're thinking of.
What is contaminated?
Mr. Russ, I do have a
Sure.
question. If they donate this land, is there any way that Dalton still can get a vote on the board, or somehow we can get some say-so on what the a representative on the board, I would think?
That comes with membership, so there's no way to do that without membership according to the intergovernmental agreement we have. So that comes with membership, but what I would say is if this is transferred to the land bank, the village does not lose any of its rights, so if this property becomes redeveloped, you still have zoning rights and permits and everything. It still comes back to you, we don't change any of that, we just are essentially a placeholder. And what we would do is initiate cleanup and further environmental assessment, and we would prepare the land to be redeveloped and then market it immediately.
Then you have, if something, once you get developed, you have to present it back to us, for us to approve it, I guess.
Well, the developer, whoever that end user would come back and they would be presenting some kind of project. We're not developers, we're just really facilitators to get back to that development process. So what would happen is they would come back before you and say, I want to build whatever. I want to build a warehouse, I want to build townhouses, whatever. And then they would go through your normal process. You don't lose any of that by allowing us to acquire this.
I'm sorry, Mr. Holland, did you say your last name
No,
was?
it's Mahalik,
Mahalik, I do apologize.
no problem.
What's on the property now?
Not a single thing. We had to tear the buildings down because they were severely vandalized. All copper was stripped from the buildings, even though, we worked cooperatively with the Dolton Police Department at the time, trying to do a sting. I had armed guards hired that were inside the building. I had dogs. I did everything to try and keep that building in one piece, but it wasn't to be.
So it's just no building now, it's
There were
just
no
land?
buildings. Vacant land.
Contaminated. And you just, I keep hearing contaminated, I have to be honest with you, but I mean, I know you heard it, because if I heard it up here, you had to hear it.
Sure, sure.
So why are you giving, because that was kind of really my next question. As you learn about the value of property and just owning land, why would you be trying to give it away now?
Because the real estate market is lousy, you can't sell it. And because I can't sell it, one of the principles is my 93-year-old father. I'd like to resolve this out of his estate if we could, so we would donate it for a tax write-off. That's what's in it for us.
Is it contaminated?
I don't know that for certain. We just got a phase one that shows potential contamination. It's an industrial property that had US Steel on it. There's something there most likely. I mean, there's issues that are gonna have to be dealt with by somebody. Unfortunately, they're not really set up to do that. That's something that, you know, takes a lot of effort, a lot of funding to resolve. You've gotta get all the testing done, the soil samples, that kind of thing. So is it contaminated? Probably, but they're not really set up to deal with that. The land banks are. That's what land banks throughout the country typically kind of deal with is problem properties like this. So we have access to funding and other things that he can't get. So that's why it kind of makes sense for us to take it.
Another way of saying that is the land bank would do the phase two, and if there is any contamination found, we're gonna clean it up. So the property's gonna end up being better than it is today.
One thing I can say is that the residents over there are happy that it's closed because of the truck traffic that was going in and out, on Harbor Street there. So, I'm gonna just say it, you know, I really wasn't in favor of it being donated to the village. We wouldn't have any use for it, we don't have the money to develop it, but I am in favor of it being donated to the land bank, because the land bank, like he said, has the resources to market it, develop it, and in fact, get the funding to clean it up, which we don't have that money to do that. So, I know the residents there on Harvard and on, what's the other street, Matt, what's the last street there on? Maple Lane, want something done with it. And if we have the chance to get it marketed and have some development there, I think it's time to.
Well, as I learn as I go along, can we do some type of evaluation of the land first? Because what sense would it make for us to get any, even to give it to you, even for you to do that?
There has been a preliminary evaluation. Phase one has been done by the EPA. The next steps is a 2 and a 3 to determine the amount of contamination, if there is contamination. And that land bank is funded enough, and it has the wherewithal to get the funding to eradicate the contamination.
Well, I'm still learning some things, and I'm learning about contamination. And something can happen 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and we can still be dealing with the trickle effects of what may have happened back in the 70s or the 80s or whatever the case may be. So how detrimental is that land? And if it's that bad, what would you actually put there? Would you put people there? I mean,
I'm not gonna put anything there.
I couldn't,
No,
I understand, but I couldn't in good consciousness say, yeah, do this or do that. And regardless as to how bad things may be, because we really don't know, because all we have is your brief synopsis in front of us, how bad things are. Just
Well, let me try and answer that. One thing that's gonna happen if it doesn't come to us is nothing. Nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna sit there. The contaminants don't go away. They just leach further into the soil, into the groundwater. So if there is contamination there, it needs to be addressed
How long
sooner
has-
rather than later.
What was on the property before?
Industrial properties.
Industrial properties, for how long?
It's probably a 100-year property in Dolton. The biggest user has been US Steel, and they didn't make steel there, but they made drums, steel drums. So they took raw, steel that was in sheets already and formed it. So That
For how
was,
many years were they're doing that?
I don't really know.
It was still in operation in 2008, I know that.
Well, US Steel was not there in 2008.
No, who was there in 2008?
Who was there was Andrew Corporation. Andrew Corporation is the company that makes the satellite dishes you see with the
Right.
lightning strike on it.
Yeah.
They were there, and there was a company that took, made cardboard.
Yeah, so the property ceased operating was in 2010? Because I used to go back there, I used to see, yeah, I used to go back there and see the truck traffic and then, the shifts working there. But right now, the property is not really maintained, it's just vacant. And one way or the other, we're gonna have to deal with this vacant property. Whether Mr. Mahaly donates to the land bank or whether he remains, maintains the ownership there, but it's not gonna go away. And I would recommend that the land bank handle it, they have the money. They have the backing of the South Suburban Mayors and Management Association, to get the funding. And there's possibly some brownfield grants out there that's available for certain properties like that, if I'm.
Yep.
Okay, so.
Sorry, we need a motion.
No, there's no motion on this. This is
No
just
motion, just
discussion.
direction to the staff as to whether or not you want to place this on the May 5th board meeting for a formal vote for
I
donation.
say yes.
I say yes.
2 yeses,
Yes.
3 yeses. It's not enough to move it forward.
Trustee Brown, trustee, any remarks?
Because I'm thinking about further down the line.
I wanna, look more into it before I do my vote, but you don't have a vote for permit on me.
Well, then we want it on the agenda.
You put on it.
That's all we're asking for, if you want it moved to the agenda. So
All right,
it
this
will be
board-
on the agenda for the 5th.
And I might add that, the trustees may wanna go over and take a look at the property. You can go to 146th and Harvard and drive to the end of the block, and you can't get in because the property is gated and it's locked at that point. And then if you go towards, the next block over Maple Lane, you could kind of halfway through the property and take a look at it.
You can also go to Riverside.
Yeah, Riverside Drive
There's a
also,
gate
till in the Riverside.
Yeah, well, that's my intent. I would like people to see what this area
Yeah,
looks like.
you won't be able to enter the property. You can probably enter it from Maple Lane if you walk through that side of it, but the Harvard side and Riverside is gated and locked. So,
I wanted to say something. The reason I would like to give it to South Suburban Land Bank, I guess the current owner, your plan is not to clean it up at all, is it?
There's no revenue, there's no stream of money coming in, there's no.
So that's why I voted to give it to South Suburban Land Bank, because I know the village does have money to clean it up, and it seemed like your goal would be to clean it up and get revenue, and I guess you would start to get fined if it doesn't get cleaned up, and it'll be your responsibility.
Yeah, we act as just a landowner like someone else in the village would, so if we're not doing something, you would fine us and give us violations like anybody else here does.
and also you have to, consider the fact that South Suburban Land Bank will be marketing that property to have it occupied and developed. So, that's some additional possible jobs coming to the community and economic development on that west end of, where we border Riverdale there.
What are your future plans with it? I mean, if you were to get it, just go through, do what you have to do as far as cleaning it up and then sell it to the highest bidder?
Well, it would be a couple things. The first thing is assessing it and doing the cleanup if there's cleanup needed. Nobody's really gonna buy it until that's done. It's gonna be hard to redevelop until that's done. So that would be our first step. Along with that, we would probably get an industrial broker right away to start listing the property and just get it out there so we can start getting kind of activity on it, knowing that we probably still have to do the cleanup to eventually sell it, but this is a big property, it'll be a big development, it'll take a long time for that to happen. The end use of it would really be determined by you, not us. I mean, there may be a developer that has certain interests for whatever reason there, but it wouldn't be something I would really kind of say one way or another. They would come back to the village board and say, you know, we're thinking of building this or that there. To me, it personally looks more residential in that area, but that's rezoning, that's a lot of different things you gotta
But after
consider.
the cleanup, it would be suitable for residential property, so.
Now, that was another question, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and the cleanup, there's a few different levels of cleanup. We would try and do the most stringent, so we would have the most ability to do
Mark,
whatever
yes.
you wanna do there, whether it's residential or commercial or something else.
Now, here's a question for you, what if it's unsalvageable? Because if the only thing that has been on their property, are businesses, and it's just been industrial, and you say the last time a business was on there was 2008?
No.
10?
It's probably 2010.
So it's just been sitting there for 4 years and just nothing happened. So not just the past 4 years since there's been no business there, but all the years before that, it's just been building and building and building. So what if, I'm saying, not to say that it can't happen, but what if?
I'm not sure I
If
understand
it
your
can't be
question.
clean, what if it can't be clean?
It can be clean.
Are you sure?
Positive. It can be clean. Some of the worst, look at I'm not sure, look at the South Shore area where US Steel was for many years, and now it's developed at one of the highest, requested property right now on the lakefront. They're building, they have concerts over there, they're gonna build condominiums, they're gonna have lakefront property. They've actually put in new streets, on 87 Southport. And I'm quite sure the contamination we have here was nothing to the extent US Steel did. So all that property will be salvageable and marketable. So, that's not even something I think we have to consider because the South Suburban Land Bank has the ability to get the funding to make sure that the cleanup is done adequately enough for development. Okay, we have a number of things on the agenda. Is there anything else, any more discussion? Okay, I think we have a consensus to put it on the meeting.
I'm sorry.
Thank you both. Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a second one on the agenda?
It'll be on the agenda for the 5th. I've gotten permission from Executive Director Ryden to forward his personal information onto the board members, so that if you have any
Thank you, Mayor.
questions, you can direct them right to Mr. Ryden.
Okay, second item on the agenda.
Item number 2. In learning as much as I can about SLIF operations, and particularly the Affordable Assisted Living Coalition, that are known as the AALC, which I was directed to a Mr. Smallwood from the State Health Department, just to kind of learn about the ins and outs of operating a SLIF. Mr. Smallwood, I sent along his, I'll say, background, I won't say resume. He has offered to drive up from Springfield today from his office there. Keep in mind, just he's in Springfield, he is not a state employee. He is the executive director of the AALC. He has offered to come here and help to either answer any questions, guidance, leadership, whatever you need. Currently, the Dorchester is a member of the AALC. I would ask Mr. Smallwood if he could join us at the podium and answer any questions the board may have.
Good evening. So I'm here to answer your questions. I'm an expert on the supportive living program. This is a program of affordable assisted living that operates throughout the state of Illinois under special permit by the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services, a state agency that oversees the program. So the Dorchester is one of 143 sites around the state of Illinois with 12,000 apartments included in the program. The Dorchester, I believe, has residency or apartments for 126. And so I'm here to address the village trustees and the mayor and help any way I can to explain how the program operates, how precarious it is right now with certification and how the state is undergoing healthcare transformation right now. So the state of Illinois, due to budgetary concerns, is reforming its healthcare operation, and it's going to require that all supported living facilities, including the Dorchester, become engaged in the new kind of healthcare, which is going to be under managed care, or care coordination, as the state calls it. So the Dorchester will be participating in that, but before you can even get to that stage, you have to make sure that you're set up to maintain your certification and that you have a proper management group in there who can do that. So with that explanation, I'd like to answer any questions that you may have about that, or if I can answer anything else, I'd try to.
No, I do thank you because I've been working diligently, fighting diligently. And I've gotten myself pretty, over the past week, familiar, not with everything, but what it takes to run a SLIP facility,
Sure,
assisted living facility.
sure.
I learned that there is no certificate, you just have to have the experience. And I have gotten that together, but I was hoping they would be here, but something else popped up, and so now we're going in a halt direction as far as.
If you hire some management company that's never run one of these before, it's very difficult. I will explain to you, this is healthcare. It's not housing, it is some housing component too, but this is very much part of the healthcare operation.
So you would have to also have people on your staff working with that person who does know that, right?
Well, you have to definitely have nursing staff and other medical professionals who can help maintain the health of these individuals through ongoing monitoring, through assessments and service plans, as well as the services that are needed to be provided under the Nurse Practice Act and things like medication administration and things like catheterization, intermittent diabetes care. There are all kinds of healthcare aspects to this. So I would just encourage you to make sure you hire someone with that level of experience that knows what they're doing, because it's a very fragile operation on the margins that are paid under the Medicaid program, which is currently about 50% of what nursing homes get.
Can you give us a little bit about your background before you became executive director of this association?
Sure. I worked for 32 years at the Illinois Department of Public Aid, which is now known as the Department of Healthcare and Family Services. I helped to implement the supported living program in the mid-90s as a way of keeping people from having to go to nursing homes and to hospitals when they didn't need it. It's a step between home care and going to a skilled nursing facility or a nursing home. And there are so many people who really don't need to be in a nursing home if this option is available. So we created the option here in Illinois in conjunction with the federal government under the Medicaid program. It operates under what's known as a waiver from the normal way of doing business. And so it's one of the waivers. Here in Illinois, there are 9 waivers. Supporting living is one of those 9. And it will be merged under managed care as we go forward. But my role at the state government was in the Department of Healthcare and Family Services, formerly known as Public Aid. And I worked in the area of long-term care, where we created this model, and it's been in existence. The first building opened in '99, so now we're up to 143, the Dorchester being one of those.
Okay. Any further questions for Mrs. Smallwood? Mr. Irvin, you have anything for Mrs. Smallwood?
No, other than he's been very helpful with educating me, because this is the first SLIF that I've ever had to work with. I'm familiar with what they are in my own community in Downers Grove. They have been trying to find a location for SLIF, and after approximately, 3-4 years, they finally found a location to build their first SLIF in Downers Grove. It was just, I didn't know where to turn, so I called the state, and the state recommended Mr. Smallwood.
Is there a requirement for some management, whoever manages, whether it's a management company or whether can you just pick an individual to manage the Dorchester?
There are requirements under the regulations for the manager. The manager has to have 5 years of healthcare experience and 2 years of management experience as a bare minimum for the actual manager that's on site to manage the operation. And I would mention to you, while you've got this is an asset. There are a lot of communities who would love to have one of these sites, and you have a management group that is going to have their contract expire April 30th, and as far as I know, you haven't picked anybody to run this. Now, if May 1st comes, you run the risk of losing your certification if you're not
Thank
running
you, I
this.
have all of that in order.
Will you let him finish his thing?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that I didn't know you had another company picked up to manage the organization and the operation, but to pick this up and to be able to run it and to do it effectively, especially with this healthcare reform coming, I would encourage you to exercise great judgment and caution as you move forward with that.
Yes.
Okay, any further questions? Mrs. Smallwood, I appreciate your input, appreciate you taking the time to drive up from Springfield to provide us with the information that you have tonight.
I do have a question. If you lose that certification, I mean, is that like a permanent deal? It's just, what happens if you lose it?
If you lose it, you run the risk of not being able to get it back. The state has ways of working with you to try to keep you from losing the certification if you haven't gotten too far down the path of decertification. But it depends on what the issues are and how out of whack, really, the operation is to be able to recover the certification. But I would imagine there's a way to recover the certification. Really, none of our buildings have gone out of certification. Of the 143, none of those have gone out of certification other than voluntary withdrawal, and they haven't tried to get back in the program. So no one's ever lost certification and then tried to get it back. So there's no experience with that, but I would imagine the state who recognized that there was a need in this area. That's how the Dorchester got approved when I was in the state government. There was recognized need in this area, and I would hope that that's treated as a real valuable asset and that you maintain it, because it's a valuable service for people who need it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smallwood. Okay. Mrs.
Number 3 was Dorchester update that Trustee Smith asked to be put on the agenda.
Okay. Well, today I got, can I read any of that letter, or is it still extremely confidential?
Which letter we received?
The one from, I'm sorry?
We sent several letters out to us.
The one from Murphy concerning the, pertaining to the Dorchester?
It's all out there now. He's the one that sent it, he has to be
No,
forwarded.
but you put confidential.
No, I believe he put that in, I forwarded it.
That's what I'm asking.
Mr. Murphy is not here to defend it. He didn't say do not disseminate it, so it was disseminated.
But can you
I can't answer for Mr. Murphy.
Well, as Mr. Smallwood said, you do have to have all your ducks in a row when it comes to dealing with a senior living facility. The SLIF, like he said, it's very, very specific. You have to have everything in order. One of the things it says, the SLIF shall have a manager or a qualified designee present at the SLIF during normal business hours, plus whenever necessary to ensure attention to the management and administration of the resident contracts. Staff shall have access to the manager or the manager's designee at all times. The manager shall designate a qualified individual capable of acting in an emergency during his or her absence from the SLIF. So basically what that's saying is you need a qualified nurse. You need someone who is very familiar with working with seniors, working in this environment. That's where a young lady by the name of Kathleen Bell comes in. Kathleen Bell had already worked at the Dorchester. Kathleen Bell was the person who would get them in order when it was time for inspections, when it comes to the slips and anything else that had to do with the Dorchester. A SLIF shall employ certified nurses, assistants. We've got plenty of those, kind of overloaded on those. SLIF shall employ a minimum of 1 cook, we have that. SLIF shall designate trained staff person to be responsible for planning and directing social and recreational activities. This person shall be at least 18 years old of age and possess high school diploma or GED. We have someone for that too, because as of